Hey guys, George at SoundTraxx here. This week we're going to talk about one of the little known features of our decoders called the prime mover pitch shift. What is it? Well, let's get started. Now when it comes to our decoders, there's a lot of people that want all of their locomotives to sound very different. And with that, we've given you a lot of the tools built into your locomotive's decoder so that you can adjust the sounds to match whatever perception or however you want your locomotives to sound. So if you want them all to sound just a little bit different, we certainly have the tools built in to allow you to do that. And one of them is what's called the prime mover pitch shift. Now again, this is where a lot of people will say every locomotive sounds very, very different. You'll also have other instances where some people who've worked on the railroad have actually come up to me and said, George, I've tried. GP7 sounds like a GP7, sounds like a GP7. But this gives you the ability to make all your adjustments however you like. And as I mentioned, one of them is prime mover pitch shift. Now the way the CV works, this is CV223, and we're going to do this on the Blunami to show you visually what you're doing. Now the way CV223 works is that a value of 128 represents flat or no change, which is right in the middle. Now you can shift the pitch up to a value of 255, which will move the pitch up to 100 cents. What are cents? Get into that in just a second. Now you can also go from 128 down to 0, which will reduce the pitch by 100 cents, or up to 100 cents. Now, when it comes to the tones and what we're measuring, of course, as I mentioned, it's measured in cents. Now, the cent is measured as a measurement of the tone or a pitch change. And you can equal 100 cents equals what's called one semitone. And then 12 semitones equals an octave. So to kind of put it into perspective, I'm sure you've all heard opera singers where they'll have different octaves. Well, what we're doing is we're working within a very small fraction of an octave change. So how do we do that? Well, first we got to get the prime mover started. So we're going to go ahead and fire it up. We'll get the prime mover changed. So what we're going to do is we're just changing the overall pitch slightly, and we can do it drastically, we can do it differently, you can do it off by just a few little bits here and there. It's entirely up to you. But the advantage is that it allows you to change the prime mover sound so that all of your locomotives will sound just a little bit different. So what we're going to do is you can hear the prime mover now. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go to our gear settings, go to sound settings, and then we're going to go to main sounds, because you can see the prime mover pitch shift that's there under the prime mover sound. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and open that window. Now I can type in a number or I can move the bar up and down. So I'm going to be quiet while I move the bar. So we're going to start by going up 100 cents. And you can kind of hear that elevate just a little bit. Like I said, it's minor difference, but it's enough to give you a little bit of a variation when it comes to all of your different locomotives. Now, for a more drastic experience, I'm going to go all the way down to the bottom, so you'll actually hear this change a lot more pronounced. So you can kind of hear how that prime mover sound is changing as I'm making the changes. So you can really go in and dial it in for your own sake. You can type in, like I said, you may decide you want to leave it, set it to 128, and you can hear that it changed, although I was talking. But if we decide we want to just set it differently, you can change it right to 12 or 20 or whatever you choose. You can go in and make this adjustment on your own. Listen to it, decide how you like it, but it gives you an overall change without losing the character of the prime mover sound. So this is available in any of our Tsunami2 and Blunami decoders, so be sure to play with it. Of course, with the Tsunami2, you will be changing the CV. In the Blunami, you can change the CV, or you can play with the app, as I did here on the screen. Now, for any further detail, please go to our website, SoundTraxx.com. Be sure to check out the user's guide where we explain this in a little bit more detail, and also you can see some examples. And I encourage you to experiment around with it. You may decide you really like that feature because now each of your locomotives has their own voice. Well, that's it for us this week, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.